Alright, this little vlog is, I'm going to try and make it snappy because there's actually a lot of content I've got to get through on this one. So, number one, thank you for the feedback on last week's video. I really appreciate it. I'm going to take it on board and we're going to get straight into some stuff about diagnosis of wheel wobble again. Talk a bit more about spring and coil lifts and a comparison between the two and what I'm about to do to my car. We're going to talk about servicing and what doesn't happen in a logbook service, and some of the things we're going to start focusing on here at 4x4 DNA. Just patrol, like lots of Y62 patrol stuff. So I'm going to get straight into it. There's pretty much always stuff happening with patrols in this workshop. That one's got a blown motor, so that's getting a new one put in. Thank you, Patrol Apart, for sourcing a motor for us. That one's got a snorkel going on it. We've got next week a air control system going in, and as discussed in the previous video, I'm going to start focusing on other details of these installs. So I'm going to make a I've talked about my channel having, you know, trip reviews, product reviews, vlogs. Well, this is going to be like a new part of my channel, and it's going to be the 4x4 DNA installs. So, so you know the difference and what's coming up with these videos, I'm going to do a little intro. So, Steve, I just took my car at the hoist. Can you just sort it out? So that's it. Let me know if it's too long, and that's going to start next week. But now we're going to get into the diagnosis of wheel wobble on Tough 62. I just took this for a test drive. It's one of the scariest cars I've driven. It's all over the shop. There's something going wrong. We get cars in here pretty frequently now with the whole wobble thing, and this is the process that we go through to diagnose it. Alright, so I had way too much air in the airbags, so I've just dropped it. There's for 250 litres of fuel that's in here at the moment. You've really got to wheel align it for the fuel that's in the car. So I've dumped the bags down to about 15 psi. So to get them to settle, I'm doing a quick little test drive. Throw Steve in the car so he can experience probably what is extreme wheel wobble, and then we can try and fix it. This is where it's going to do it. Under load. A little bit below. Look at that. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
Hold on to the steering wheel coming in the corner.
No, that's... The whole body is just doing this.
Yeah.
It's just literally... Mind you, sitting at 100 and whatever it was.
No, it was 60 k's an hour, surely.
60 k's an hour. In a car that's like set up for aerodynamics at the best of times.
A Lego block looks slick compared to this.
You're right.
Love that blower sound.
Oh yeah.
Look at it, as soon as it gets upset at the front, throws it to the back, you've got to drive it. Goes alright. Alright, here we go, watch this. See that? Traction control came at the front.
Jesus.
If you power out,
I would say something to do with that dodgy drive shaft as well as going on in there. I wouldn't be putting it all down to that, but
yeah. I think it tries to lift the front wheel like the old GUs around the roundabouts, and the front wheel comes up and the traction control kicked the throttle on me. That's crazy. This is an unsafe car as it sits. Before we get too deep into this whole wheel alignment thing, just a quick little lesson about ToeCamber caster. So if we're looking at the back of the car, and I'll draw this on the whiteboard behind me, for lack of any better space, this is our whiteboard for putting jobs up, but hopefully you get the idea. If we're sitting behind the car and we're looking at the tyres. The tyres are parallel like that, that means they've got like 0 camber. If we're seeing the tyres go like that, it's negative camber. If we see the tyres doing the other way, narrow at the bottom, out at the top, it's positive camber. And this is the problem with Charlie's car. It's too high, essentially, I believe it is, and we're struggling to get 0, even a little bit of negative would be nice. I can leave this model up, but if we look at it in a different way, if we're looking like we're flying above the car, looking down on top of the car, and we're looking at the wheels nice and square, that would be toe. That means it's sitting like 0 toe. And then if we have the wheels going in or out, like pigeon toe, that's towing in or out. We don't want that to happen either. But when you've got a car like Charlie's, which is tall and a lot of power because it's supercharged now, as you put your foot on the gas, the whole car launches back and all of these dimensions change because there's 2 arms at the bottom for toe and camber, and they have to work independently. This is what makes it so difficult to wheel align a Y62. One, because the weights change, and as you put power on, the toe and camber changes. All right, we got big tough 62 on the wheel aligner. What are we seeing, Steve?
So we're seeing that over the trip to Perth and back, he's obviously got a little bit more toe in than we expected. So if he's positive 30 degrees toe in, at also a little bit of positive camber, it's in hindsight it sounds like when the car is trying to accelerate, it's trying to lift up. It's fighting each other, so we're getting that chase. Now the sidewall's been 37s. And probably this vehicle's done a fair bit of off-road where they've been deflated and they've been really working hard. I would say they've gone a little bit soft, so that deviation that you're getting in the back end with the sidewall movement is really making it like a jelly back end, so it's quite dangerous. So for me to fix up that and get it to more direct, straight up and down and a little bit less toes is going to make it better and improve it, but I don't think it's going to fix the complete problem, but it's definitely positive.
Let's have a quick look at the front, because my concern was coming out of that roundabout and the traction control like kicking me out. So this is the numbers on the front. So I guess we're going to point out up here.
Yeah, that caster has definitely fallen off off the wagon there, so we need to try and even up that caster.
What is caster first?
Caster is your wheels back and forth, so the further forward is more caster, the further back is negative caster. So positive caster is good, that's where it gives you that nice feel, but obviously it's had a bit of a bump. I think I recall the tyre getting bumped off the bead, so, but no, it's had a bump, so we need to fix up that one, and that's, obviously the car's chasing each other, so that can also contribute to it.
Alright, so in summary, we've got the wheels towing in a little bit more than we would like. There's positive camber at the back, which is always bad, and the caster's different at the front. So the problem is this car is already maxed out, so we're going to have to see what we can do, and then we basically move on to HPMC and look at the tyres as well. Alright, how's the front going, Steve-o?
Oh, the right hand side caster sitting at 2.3 is something's not right. We've got something that's bent. It's maxed out for caster. To try and correct it up with the front bolt up here is giving us a positive camber, up to ½ degree positive camber. So it's definitely something's bent at the top. Maybe a bad ball joint. But we've got to go into it in a bit more depth now. Obviously the top end's got some issues, so that's where we're at.
Oh, you can see it.
Something maybe not right there. Might be a dodgy bush, mate. You're gonna have to have a look at that.
So the fact that this has got a small gap here and a big gap there, does that mean that's all come forward, or?
Oh, I mean, they do move to a certain degree. That's what the larger you know, squash spacer is here. That's when you take your bush off, so it crushes up and doesn't go metal to metal. But
here's another problem.
Oh, the CV boot, and that's not from rubbing. That's actually split from where the clamp is. So interesting enough. Oh. The next part of all of this, I want to talk about tyres and the integrity of the sidewall and what happens when that falls apart. When we get a car and start rocking it like this, it oscillates. You can see the tyres. You can see the wall of the tyre loading up and then unloading on the opposite side of the car, and this is another factor. So as far as sidewall integrity in the WOBBLE meter, I'm going to call that a grade 1. 33s, they are aftermarket. I'm not going to get into brands right now, but that's what I'm going to call grade 1. I'm going to take it in my car now. Given a slightly heavier car, 35s now, let's give it a wobble. I'm going to call that a grade 2 or 3. I'm to the point where I'm tolerating these tyres. I've talked about changing them for a while, and I probably will, but they're okay, but I know, I'm pretty sure there's better. All right, here's the big test. We'll get this one rocking and rolling. Go. 3, 2, 1. If I had my Wheaties, I probably could have get it rocking even further, but this tyre is buggered, I reckon. I'm going to call that like a grade 3 or 4, and we've got to change the tyres. All right, for reference, this will be the only time I do talk about a tyre brand. We'll put Yokohama's on Steve's car, and it drives brilliantly. Hasn't done heaps of off-road work, but I'll show you how this one goes. All right. So again, that's a bigger tyre, 295, so 34.3 I think it is. I'm going to give that like a grade 1 as well, like it's good. Right, last part of all of this. Yet to do the test drive, but tyres are fixed and sorted. Last step is the HPMC. Now, if you've been following my previous video that I did on pressures and HPMC system, we actually talked a bit about how we would up the pressure, and it makes sense. Like if your wheel wobble, tighten things up, that increases the dampening effect, and especially for the heavier cars, we noticed that when we put the HPMC pressures up, that actually helped. It helped quite a lot. However, again, just through repetition, doing a fair few of these now, we've learned that energy has to go somewhere. You've got a lot of weight, you've got a lot of movement, and if it's not being absorbed by the shock absorber, and the coil's also very stiff because it happens more in these stiffer rear ends, what's the next? Where does the energy go next? It's in the tyres, and that's why I think it's stuffing up the tyres, because everything's too stiff at the back. Because the symptom are people come in with airbags. Oh, I've been pumping my airbags up to 20 psi to drive around town. Well, that's again increasing the spring rate and making the shock not allowing the shock the opportunity to do what's supposed to dampen everything. So we've actually backed off the whole pressure thing in HPMC. We do check it for air leaks, and we do check that it's at a factory level as well. Essentially, once we've done HPMC, make sure there's no air in the system, I reckon we're going to have cured this wheel wobble thing, and we'll take you on a test drive. When you've got the tools, it's not too big a deal, so let's have a look what she came up at.
How'd we go, Steve?
Very good. What we played around with last time, we tried to put the pressure up on this particular vehicle just to see if we can get a better ride, a better rebound on the hydraulic suspension. So we've tried at 3 bar, not too much success. We've gone back down to about 2.5 bar, which seems to be where it sits nice. Now that's the last time I set it, and I'm not seeing any drop at all, so it's still at the same numbers that we set it at last time, which is good, indicating no leaks. But what we will do, just to finalise our checks in regards to this wobble issue, is make sure there's no air in any of these 4 corners. So my next system to do now is probably just bleed it and make sure there's no air, and then we're ready to roll.
And then I get to test drive again. That's the fun bit. Right, here we go. Straight away, better out the driveway. Right, let's go for the test track. Another thing we found, didn't really document greatly, but might as well talk about it while we're getting up to the test spot, is this car, you put it in drive, and as you take off it went clunk, and then as you then put it in you know, neutral or reverse, and then say put it in reverse and started to go back, same thing will happen, clunk. Steve, what happened? How do we fix that?
So when we were looking for the drive shaft noise, we also noticed that it was clicking in the rear section. Now the drive shaft's got a spline that goes into your hub, so I was thinking maybe it was moving a little bit in there. It was pretty tight, like we could get a little bit on it. We only moved it probably you know, another 2 mil, the actual nut, to make it tighter, so it wasn't enough for me to say, you know, convince me. So we decided to pull the drive shafts out. In the process of us pulling the drive shaft out, you've got like a rusty effect on the spline, which is an indication of something moving. Anything that's loose in your car, you'll notice you get a rusty spot. So the spline was fully rusted up and was creaking and moving in that spline. So we put some nice molly grease in there after giving it a good clean, and it's fixed it. So yeah,
there you go. All right, we're on the test track. Now, that's already heaps better. Like,
I think on the last video I put my hand up and told you to slow down. I feel a bit safer this time.
I was scared last time. Look at that. That's fine. Alright. Now to see if we can go around the roundabout without the traction control coming on. That little S-bend there, I couldn't do that speed through it before. Feels like a different car. I still think it's too high, but this is the test. How's your life insurance?
Well, I'm refreshing it now.
As the camber changes, you come off the roundabout, that's when it did it. I had to back off because there's a Pajero in front of me, but no traction control that time. I think we fixed it. Good job, Bob.
Well done, mate. Good teamwork.
Alright, one more down. So we checked tyres, the HPMC, and wheel alignment. So
blade the system?
Yeah. Hierarchy of like most important to least important. We'll start with the least important. What, you know, out of those three things we checked, what was the ranks 3 for what we had to fix?
Well, look, believe it or not, the actual HPMC I think is the least expected. I don't think people need to go to that extreme to check that just yet. I think first things first, wheel alignment, tyre pressures, and then obviously making sure that if you do rock the car side to side, then we're getting that issue. So,
all right, out of tyres and wheel alignment, which is what's number 1? What is the worst thing for these vehicles for wheel?
Oh, definitely wheel alignment.
Yeah. And there are tyres that seem to outperform others. We're not going to go into brands and stuff here, but like there's definitely
as we've seen some of the cars around here, wheel wobble is a thing, and if you got to get there can't be air in the HPMC system. It needs to be charged correctly. There has to be a good wheel alignment done, and we talked about wheel alignments in other videos. But yeah, tyres, it doesn't matter how good your wheel alignment is, if your tyres are stuffed, they're stuffed.
What we found straight away is we're getting customers coming in with the wobble. We have a look at what tyre brands they got, and the tyre brands are coming up as, you know, your Maxxis, your Nittos. I'm gonna say it because it is obvious. Like it's that those particular brands are giving us some grief. And then when I do the wheel alignments, yeah, it improves it, but it's not fixing the issue. When we check everything else, we're just making sure that we are correct. We want to make sure that we are saying to people that it is a tyre issue. As much as me saying, yeah, the Yokies are a good tyre, we can prove that by just giving it the little side wobble to wobble. You know, you can see straight away the tyre's not jelly.
So, not sponsored by Yokohama. They don't even know who we are, but we probably keep pumping up their tyres, so to speak, a little bit. Alright, that's this video. We're going to do more videos for 4x4 DNA together, and put in the comments anything you want to see, and we'll see if we can go and do a video on that as well. But this one's over and out. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was waiting for someone to do it.